Speaking of StarCraft, I think this is a good transition. It's probably the last massive RTS game. I would say the biggest boom in RTS genre was towards like the middle of StarCraft 2. And then the genre has kind of, if we're being honest, died down a little bit. What do you think needs to happen to bring, RTS games back to their prime, let's say?
All right. That's a very interesting one because RTS is such a massive game and a massive genre. There are a lot of things required, I think, to bring it up to in a more modern age again. I think one of the things that you need is making the genre a bit more accessible. I think something like Age of Empires 2 did really well at that because it has this extra layer where you're just playing around and playing SimCity.
Right.
And a lot of people will play Age of Empires just for that, but they can kind of grow through that and see like, oh, wait, there's more to this. I can also build up and fight and try hard. But for a lot of games nowadays, if you want to make an RTS from scratch, you need some kind of, how should I say it, really explain to people how it works.
Yeah, AoE can probably seem daunting to new people with, 30 civs. It has so many campaigns. It might seem, friendly because it's of the nostalgia, but, gameplay wise, it's there's a lot of layers to Age of Empires.
There is a lot of layers, and one of the things we noticed in Age of Empires 2DE, we did this. When people get into the game, and they'll find their way around, right? Like you can play against AI, you can play campaigns, you can do your SimCity stuff. But there's very little people that actually move to multiplayer.
Really?
And that's kind of where the RTS scene, as most people like to call it, is kind of hanging out. It's in that competitive multiplayer. It's in those tournaments. And that's what people are really looking forward to as well. But that's a very, very, very difficult step to take. And one of the things we did for H2 Definitive Edition was adding this Art of War series where people could learn advanced or more advanced tactics. And that worked out really well. But we still noticed it was not enough. We still noticed, like, if you know absolutely nothing from Age of Empires, and I did this test, like I had my little cousin play Age of Empires 2 in front of me. Like he never played any RTS game before, and I just watched him play, and I was like, Jesus, I need to start all over. Like if I give this guy Art of War, he's just going to be lost.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a certain type of person has to, maybe you just need to be a certain type of person to enjoy that kind of competitive RTS.
Perhaps. But still, like before you get to that point, you need to lure people in.
Right.
And you need to make them comfortable and make them happy about this kind of gameplay. In the same way that I think, it completely unrelated example, but on Netflix a few months ago, we had the Queen's Gambit come out.
Right.
About chess. And all of a sudden,
that's a great
everybody was like, I want to play chess. It doesn't matter how much I suck at it, but all of a sudden chess was visible to a much wider audience. And this kind of wider audience appeal, I think, is currently completely missing from RTS.
Yeah, it's a really hard thing to do. That's what I was going to say. Competitively, what do you think the future of Age of Empires is? Obviously, we're all hoping that AoE 4 is a massive success, but let's say hypothetically it's not. What happens to the DE AoE 2 franchise?
No idea. No idea what.
Fair.
I wish I could predict the future like that, but just looking at competitive Age 2, that has never been that good. I think last year was the biggest prize pool ever seen in competitive Age of Empires 2. We have Microsoft supporting it. We also have external sponsors in the scene, and that is all quite novel for Age of Empires 2. And that's great to see. How long it's going to be around, I don't know, but we've only have it.
Yeah, to me, AoE competitively it's such a nice boom right now. It's such a fun enjoyable experience. You have so many different civs. You have so many different characters in the scene. Doubt, a 35-year-old Serbian man winning his first tournament in 10 years. That was really awesome. So I'm really hopeful that AoE can continue growing in the competitive scene, because to me, that's the most exciting part. I think esports is only on the way up. So I feel like that's a big focus of RTS games. The Bored With Nelly podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and pretty much every platform known to man, except MySpace. Why the hell would it be on MySpace, you weirdo? Full episodes can be found on the official Bored With Nelly YouTube page.